cold, out in the dark, something's lurking at the edge of the park. People be warned, people beware, there's a storm on the rise and it's covered in hair. Hear him cry, hear him howl, looking for someone to disembowel. Claws like a hook, eyes like coal, feet so big they're gonna crush your soul. They call him Sasquatch.
Hello, this is Yowie Central. Welcome to the show. I'm Sarah, and I am absolutely delighted to be with you after 3 weeks off. I spent the first 2 weeks ignoring emails and doing pretty much sweet FA, lounging around, reading books about werewolves and demon slayers and vampires and ghosts with lots of action and raunchy bits. I've been getting out with my bare feet on the ground and in the sun and the fresh air, connecting with Mother Earth and meditating and healing and recharging. I might have had a few sneaky glasses of champagne, but I can't confirm or deny that. But generally, I was just having a really fab, relaxing time. I'm coming to you from our little caravan up at our farm at the moment. We don't have a house on the farm yet. So we stay in a caravan, and it is gale force winds outside and raining. So if you hear background noise today during my intro, that is because we've got a storm going on outside. To put the cherry on the top of my holiday cake, I got to spend the weekend up in Queensland with my Australian Yowie research team. We went out on a field expedition to Kilkivan, which is just west of Gympie, and it's a really, really special place because it was exactly the place where Dean Harrison, head honcho of Australian Yowie research, where he was charged and shoved and sent flying by a Yowie back in January of 2009. Dean's working on a video about Kilkivan and about that terrifying encounter, and he wanted to go back and film a few bits and pieces at the location. So I headed up from Victoria to join in because Dean's experience there is one of the most extraordinary Yowie encounters, sightings ever. He's one of the few people I've heard of who had actually touched a Yowie and survived to tell the tale. And I got to hear that incredible story in his own words, in situ, in that exact place, on that rocky cascade where it actually happened, which was so thrilling. It made it so much easier to visualise what happened and how it must have felt at the time, and how frightening it must have been, how absolutely terrifying. I mean, he had PTSD for a long time afterwards as a result of that terrifying experience. So it was so thrilling for me to be part of this Kilkivan expedition. First, we set up at base camp and we had a wander around the area to familiarise ourselves with it before nightfall. We collected some firewood and got some onions and sausages cooking to waft a delicious aroma around the bush. Frying onions is one of the most tantalising aromas ever. If anything's going to lure a Yowie in, it's going to be frying onions. We also got some tunes playing on a portable speaker, kind of a mix of shamanic drumming, a bit of rock, a bit of classical. And then after dark, we took it in turns, sitting at base camp, and then the others wandering around the area in the dark and scanning with our thermal cameras and hoping, fingers crossed, for a huge heat signature to pop up. When we move around the forest, we don't use white light. White light's only used at base camp. So we've all got head torches with kind of dim red light. So it's quite an evocative experience when you're in the dark and you've just got dim light and all the noises in the forest seem much louder and your imagination runs wild. There was a moment when we were just sitting in silence, just listening. I was sitting on a big boulder and Dean and Buck were on kind of boulders next to me but a couple of metres away, facing a little creek, and my back was to the bush, and I there was a moment where I felt slightly uneasy, like a prickle up my spine, and the thought crossed my mind that something could quite easily reach out from the bush, which was just behind me, and grab me. So I kind of edged closer and closer to Dean and Buck after that, just casually. I was pretending that I wasn't scared, but I was a little bit. And that also made me think of something that my guests on today's show told me recently, that there are many other entities and beings and spirits out in the bush, not just yowies, that can make you feel uneasy. So I scooted over closer to the boys while I was looking over my shoulder. And then we had a song off, trying to outdo each other with classic 80s rock and musical numbers, which totally distracted me, and the uneasy feeling was gone. And we stayed overnight, but we didn't get any discernible yowie activity that night, apart from the odd branch snapping, but nothing that was screaming out yowie. We reckon it was potentially because we bumped into two guys who were out pig hunting with dogs, and you can't really blame our hairy friends for not sticking around if there's guys out hunting with dogs. So it was a shame that we didn't get any yowie activity, but I had such a fun time though. It was such a thrill for me to hang out with my team and doing what we love most, which was talking about anything and everything yowie related, and generally making each other laugh and hanging shit on each other. And yeah, it was just a really, really fun, really great time. And I'll be heading back up to Queensland in a month or so for another field trip, and I can't wait to get back out there with my team, and I will keep you all posted. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some yowie activity next time. Oh, and just before we get into it today, I have an exciting bit of news. I'm heading to Cairns with Dean Harrison this Friday, 7th of October, for Cade Moyer's live call-in show. So if you have any burning questions that you want to ask Dean or me, you can call in on the night, or you can ask questions in the comments section. So tune in on Friday, 7th of October in the evening. What time it is will depend on where you are, whether it's daylight savings or not, or which part of the country you're in. So check out Cade's Believe podcast website for those details. So basically, I'm back and I'm re-energised, and I can't wait to share this week's conversation with you. I did a lecture on yowies a few months ago for an organisation called Our Alien Ancestry, and I had the absolute pleasure of meeting fellow guest speaker, Uncle Donny Firma, who is a proud Anaiwan and Gamilaroi man and original Australian elder. And he's kindly agreed to share some of his knowledge and experiences with yowies and other dreaming spirits with us. And I also have on Aunty Luna, a proud Wiradjuri Gamilaroi woman who has also very kindly agreed to share some of her knowledge with the Yowie Central listeners too. Oh, and the internet connection was a little bit dodgy the other day when I was talking to them and recording this. So there are a few bits where the connection is patchy and the audio cuts for a second, but what can you do? Technology at its finest. I think we were in another Mercury retrograde where technological glitches happen, but there's not much I can do about that. It's still an absolutely enthralling chat. So let's get into it. Here's Uncle Donny and Aunty Luna.
I actually changed the acknowledgement for radio for when me and Donny actually first went online, and I realised that we're talking to people all over the world, and we're talking to people from other cultures, and they have their own elders and ancestors. So this is how I did it. To begin with love and respect, we would like to acknowledge all the elders and ancestors of all the lands these voices are being heard in. So there you go. Yeah, and I catered that for listening.
Thank you. Would you like to start by introducing yourselves to the Yowie Central listeners so they know who you are?
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Donny? Or?
Yeah, I'm Donny Firma. I'm a proud Anaiwan man of New England Rangers. in northern New South Wales. That's about it, I suppose.
And
Young to everyone.
my name's Anne-Marie, and people call me Luna. I have many names that I go by depending on who you are, but I'm a Wiradjuri Gamilaroi Goanna snake water lily woman. I live in near the Blue Mountains in Durug country, the Durug people's country. I was actually born on Durug lands, even though I'm a Wiradjuri Gamilaroi woman.
Well, it's such an honour to have you both on the show. I'm really excited to talk to you again and to share what you want to share with the Yowie Central listeners, because I know they'll be really keen to listen to anything that you can share about the original Australian culture and lore and knowledge around Yowies and that dreaming invisible world that is all around us and that we're part of, but we often don't realise what's actually going on. So where would you like to start today? Do you want to start, Donny, do you want to start with your first Yowie encounter in was it Stanthorpe?
Yeah, I was in Stanthorpe, right? Actually, a little place called Seven Lee, just out of Stanthorpe, near the railway lines there. I think I was either 11, 12, maybe 13 at the time. And we was walking along the old railway lines, late in the afternoon, going back home. And next minute, this animal had this screamed at it. When I looked around, I seen this big, huge silhouette of a man with no neck. And he frightened us, and he put his hands up in the air like this. And me and my brothers, we all bolted, took off flat out of there. And I don't know why, because we had rifles in our hands, but it made us panic that much, we ran away. I still remember to this day, and my brother still talks about it too. He said, "You remember that area man up there?" He said, "Yeah, I remember that area man up there." He don't want to talk about it too much. And that's the first time up in there, in Stanthorpe. And apparently not far from there, there was another encounter back, I think it was back in the 1930s, not far from where I was. And then a lady, 10 years later after me, had an encounter just down the road from that little town. And she said basically the same thing that I seen. She said she's just seen a silhouette. It was just late in the afternoon. And she said this thing screamed at her and put its arms up in the air and frightened and darted at her and a mate. And that's what she told me. I still remember that very well. Well, you had to be close to 8 foot tall. He was a big fella. I wasn't going to wait around to see a measure him either.
No way. What did your parents say, Uncle Donny, when you got home after seeing your Yowie when you were a young man?
I told Mum, but Mum just sort of laughed at us. It's like she knew something about it, but she just laughed at us and told us to go and have a bath and get ready for having a tea. But she was laughing about it. I remember that. Yeah, I think she knew about a fair bit out there, old hairy man, because she lived up bush all her life with my dad before my dad died.
And did she share much with you about her knowledge?
Oh, no, she always said to me, like, when I was kids, we'd be up bush and, around the campfire. She said, "Don't go too far away from that campfire." She said, "No, Red Eye will get you." And she used to always say that. "Don't go too far away from that."
Do you think she was kind of joking around just to make sure you didn't stray too far, or do you think she actually thought you might be in danger if you did stray by yourself, and that old Red Eye or the hairy man would actually get you?
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% sure, but she had a serious look on her face when she used to say that. And see, the other thing too that our dad used to say to us, if you can't see the campsite, you're too far away. And that was through the day. He said, don't wander too far away from that campsite. And we didn't. If we couldn't see the campsite, we were too far away. I remember Dad saying that to us all the time. But back then, you ask questions to them old fellas, they'd always say to you, what do you want to know that for? You had to wait for him to tell you the story, not you ask the question. So that's how they used to go. The old fellas used to go.
So you'd ask questions, but you would never get a direct answer straight away.
No, you wouldn't get a direct answer. You had to wait for them to answer the question before the question was asked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that, I guess that makes you kind of really maybe make you think about what that answer might be before you get the answer. But how annoying, because you'd be wanting to know, well, tell me now.
Based on my experience when I was a kid, I reckon they used to do that so you knew what was going on, and they just give you the other thing they used to do, the old fellows used to do to us, is give us riddles. And they didn't come straight out with it, but they used to give you riddles. If you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you had to interpret them riddles.
And would they ask you later, so have you worked out the riddle?
Yeah, it's just sort of, did you work that out? No, Uncle, no, Dad, I didn't work that out, you know. Oh, you're not learning then.
Got to keep thinking, keep pondering it.
Yeah.
And the Yowie that you saw when you were 11 or 12, so it was a big, about how tall do you reckon it was?
Yeah, it had to be 8 foot tall because he was bigger than us. I'm only a little short ass fellow, me. He was big, I'm telling you. He frightened that out of me. I can still picture that silhouette. He definitely had no neck. And he had the shoulders on him and he was better than a bloody front row forward. They had to be a good 3 feet wide. He got shoulders on him. And his arms were really long, When you put them up in the air, you could see it. His arms were really long, like he was longer than his feet. I remember that quite well. And it was only about a split second from us turning around and running. I got a good look at it. But that scream, it sort of went right through you. It's like, you get a big blast of wind, and it sort of shocks you, a big cold blast of wind, and it sort of shocks you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it felt like.
Was it a really deep scream or a high-pitched scream or something in between?
How would you put it? It was sort of like a scream and a bark at the same time, sort of thing, for want of a better word. But when that scream, bark sort of hit you, it sort of felt like somebody was going to punch you,
Quite a few people I've spoken to, quite a few of the witnesses I've spoken to describe something very similar, that getting screamed at or roared at, but it's like it goes through your whole body.
Yeah. It's like a big gust of cold wind, when it hits you.
Yeah.
And bloody sort of goes right through you. It was like that. I remember that quite well, I'm telling you. I reckon our feet never touched the ground. They were running back towards home there.
I'm not surprised. What do you think that particular Yowie was doing when you came across it?
Well, the only thing I can think of years later, he could smell our rifles. They might have bloody frightened him a bit, and he sort of had a go at us about it.
Yeah.
Because I heard an old uncle there telling me, he said they don't like rifles.
Yeah.
And I remember old uncle telling me, he said, don't shoot them with a 22. He said, it only upsets them. And I'm thinking to myself, well, lucky I didn't shoot at him because he would have upset him really bad then.
Yes. And I've actually interviewed someone who shot a Yowie sadly shot a yowie in the shoulder with a 22, and it made no difference. He saw the impact, saw it like a puff, like a tuft of hair fly out. So definitely hit the poor yowie in the shoulder, but did not slow him down at all.
Well, I can tell you a story there too, because used to have a young lady who used to come here. When she was younger, I used to look after her and her brothers. And when her parents had to go away, and she was telling me her dad there one time was down in the Pilliga. And she said to me, she was telling me, she said, her dad was down there with a couple of mates there with pig chasing. And these dogs went into the scrub after something into the scrub, and the next minute, he said the dogs got tossed back at him. And then they saw this big hairy man, and they started shooting at him, and he just walked away, basically walked away under a hail of gunfire. And his dad never went back down into the Pilliga after that.
Right. Well, so the dogs were, I'm assuming the dogs were dead if they're thrown.
I have no idea. She never told me what happened to the dogs. They were pig dogs.
Yep.
Yeah, she never told me. But she said the dogs were thrown back at them.
Right. Oh, that's scary. Poor dogs. But I don't blame the yowies for getting angry with them and wanting to get them out of their area.
Yeah, poor old dogs, yeah. But they were only doing what they were told to do,
Yeah.
They're pig dogs, and that's what they're trained for. And unfortunately, it wasn't a pig they came across.
No, something much bigger and stronger.
Yeah, lots stronger.
Aunty Luna, what do you remember from when you were a child about what you were told about yowies? Were you told any stories or warnings about them?
Yeah, well, for me it's a little different because I'm like a wild child. I'll just run off into the bush on my own. And just being in tune, I never had any fear that anything was going to hurt me. And when I was younger, I was told by an old auntie, when she was young, she was a Bundjalung woman. She passed away now. Her and her brothers and sisters and her mum and dad were in a cart, horse and cart, and they were going up a dirt road. And her mum said to all the kids, hide your eyes. She turned around because they were sitting in the front. She turned around and said, hide your eyes. The Gauligar is there. There's Gauligars in the tree line. So all the brothers and sisters hid her eyes except for this auntie. She wanted to see it. And her mum said, don't let them see you. They'll follow you home. So while everyone's got their eyes covered and they're going past, she said she looked and she saw red-eye hairy man, little ones. Nothing happened to her, thank goodness. But, yeah, she was told not to look and she did because curiosity, And I'm glad she did because she got to tell me the story, what she saw. Another one was my cousin said when she was a little girl, where she lived in the bush, there was a tree, again, a tree line and a particular tree. And her dad said to her, because she was a tree climber, and her dad said to her, don't climb that tree, the Gauligar lives in that tree. And he also used that to keep her in line and say, don't go where you shouldn't be because the Gauligar's watching you and he'll tell. He did stress, don't climb that tree, that's their tree, don't go near it. And other than that, I learned stuff more as I grew up and got older and met different people from different mobs and learned that depending on where you are, there are different kinds of hairy men. And the actual hairy man, because like Gauligar and hairy man and Yowie, they're all different kinds. Like we have different kinds of people. They have different kinds also. The ones down south, when I went down south, a sister there taught me, she's a bush lady, you don't cook at night because that's when the hairy men will smell it and come in and get you. Women don't go out in the bush when they got their moon cycle because they'll smell the blood and they will also steal the women for operation. just different laws. And I can say to people, and hello to your listeners, by the way, and I can say to you all that if something like this didn't exist, we wouldn't have these laws.
Yeah. Yes,
The
exactly.
women, especially for the women, you know, we wouldn't have these laws for our safety if there was no such thing as hairy man, yowie, gooligar. There's a half a dozen names because, like I said, they're all different.
Yeah.
And there's also a spiritual version, but I'll let Donny tell you about that. Then after that, as I grew up and got my own family and started travelling, I actually had different experiences. I think the closest one, I can't say, they're all pretty amazing. We lived near Mount Yango on a property. Mount Yango was, you would get up in the morning and be right in our face. That's where we were. We were at the bottom of it. It was beautiful, untouched for many years. All the animals there would just walk up to you, and I was in heaven. And I knew hairy men were around. I never actually physically saw them, but I felt them, and I never felt in danger. And they'd let us know they were there, and you'd hear the trees at night. You'd hear them, and they would mimic other things also and talk to us that way. And I knew they were there, and we respected their space until one day, people that we knew, we weren't there for nearly a week, and they were there, these people that we knew. And I didn't know till I got back there a week later that they'd actually done some witchcraft magic on the property. And when we turned up, the shed that we were living in was totally a mess. Everything had been destroyed. And they tried to tell me a goanna had got in there, and I looked at it and I thought, well, goanna make a mess, yeah, but not like that. Not the way it was. It was like a human got in there and just, when they, when the police trash your house because they're looking for things like in the movies, and it was like that. Like, come on, goanna wouldn't do that. Goanna would run over things and knock it over, but not trash it like that. So I knew something was wrong. I thought, oh no, something really bad's here. And that night, all you could hear was snap, snap, bang, bang, snap, snap, bang, bang. It went on all night long. And I said to my husband, we have to sell this property now. We can't be here. He goes, why? I said, the hairy men are very angry. Whatever they've done here, the people, they were really, really angry. And not at me, and not at us, me and my husband and our children, been defiled by whatever they'd done. So we packed it up and left it back to them. And it was the kind of place no one really wanted to buy it anyway because it was very, very natural and rugged and rough. So we just left it back. So that was one time. Other time, before we had found that property, we were actually looking for properties, and we entered this property. I can't even remember where it is. It's inland somewhere. It was a long time ago. And the driveway was just a straight driveway with poplar trees all the way down the sides, and there were cows and horses on each side. And as you drive down the driveway, you turn around to the right and it just opens up into untouched land. It was just beautiful. It was deceiving by the driveway. You thought it'd be all manicured and everything, but it wasn't. It was just rough, untouched land. And there was this horse drinking from a stream, and we drove past, and real slow, checking out the land. We're not on the road by now. We're just driving around. And a nature called. My husband said, I've got nature calls. I said, rightio. And all of a sudden I heard the horse. And the horse was pig-rooting and snorting and carrying on. And I'm thinking, wow, we just passed that horse. It was happy as. And now it's freaking out really bad. And I yelled out to my husband, can you hear that? He goes, yeah, I do. And he goes, the only thing that would do that would be a snake. And I went, yeah, but if it was just a snake, it wouldn't have carried on that much. It would have said something and ran off. And it was still carrying on. So we jumped in the car, drove past, the horse is just standing there carrying on, and it didn't run away. It's just freaking out. And we could see the trees, and the trees were actually physically being flattened in the tree line. And there was something just behind the tree line running along the edge of the road, flattening these trees. And I knew straight away that's it. Only a hairy man could do that. We're a hairy man. We're strong enough to do that. So we jumped in the car, and my husband's driving, and he planted it. This is how fast it was going, and we're following these trees going slap, 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 bang, 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 bang. And then all of a sudden it stopped. So he stopped the car, And I gets out and I just put my hands up there and I said, hello, we're not here to hurt you. I just want to, I'm sorry that we came into your area. Obviously that was his area or her area, whoever it was. I didn't see them, but you could feel them behind the tree line. And I didn't feel threatened. I never feel threatened by anything in nature, not in Australia anyway. I didn't feel threatened and I just apologised. And all I asked was, why are you here? And it's like telepathy. It was like someone speaking in my head. And I heard there's limestone, or I think is it limestone that generates energy? And there was, that was in the rock. And it was because of these rocks. That's why he was there. And I thought, okay then. So we're going now. So we jumped in the car. We're going up the road. You know when you're in the car and someone in the back seat, you're driving along, they open the back door. You can hear the back door open, then you hear a gush of wind, and then you hear it close. Mm-hmm. There was only me and my husband in the car. There's no one in the back seat, and we're driving along, and all of a sudden the driver's side back door opens and closes. Sitting there, and I said to my husband, did you hear that? He goes, yep. I said, that was the back door. He goes, yep, I know. And I looked around, but I couldn't see anything. So I looked with my third eye, and here's this wonderful being sitting in the back of my car. And I'm like, oh. And I'm thinking, how the hell did you get in my car? Did you run and open the door and jump in and being invisible or something like that? Because that's how, you know, it's the only way. He must have run, opened the door, jumped in and closed the door. That's what it seemed like. And anyway, he told me to go. He said, you need to go up the road and there's a circle of white rocks that you need to visit. And I'm thinking, okay. And the next thing you hear the door opens and the gush of wind again and the door closes and we're just sitting in the front seat like kind of numb, like, oh, okay, trying to accept what's happening in a rational way. And I just said to my husband, just drive up there and we'll keep driving till I feel we've got to find these white rocks. So we drove up a ways and I said, it's here. And then we walked across the road and there was a fence and he goes, that's someone's property. I said, yeah, but there's no one around, but I need to go in there. So we went in there and I walked a ways and sure enough there was this circle of white rocks. The rocks were in the ground and they were all white in a circle. And I'm standing there and I'm thinking, well, this is the place that the being told me to come to, but what's happening? And as I turned around and I looked behind the trees, all I could see were ancestors, Aboriginal ancestors, and they all popped their head around as if to say, hello, it's so good that someone can see us. So the whole, what I figured, that whole area was just a magical, magical area. And I felt like I really intruded. I really wish that I had saw him with my real eyes, like if he had walked out of the trees. But I probably would have had a heart attack or something. Because I'm so used to seeing things in my third eye, so just so natural and easy for me. Actually seeing them physically, it probably would have given me a heart attack.
Well, so why do you think the Yowie sent you up there to that place with the white rocks?
To connect and to realise that these ancestors are still walking with us, and
yeah, right.
And what I learned over the years is that when somebody who can see and feel spiritual stuff goes into the bush, the beings there, the tree people, the rocks, the spirit people, the ancestors, they are delighted. So all your listeners that are spiritual and go out and become one with nature, they're happy. They're so happy that this is happening because we're not taught to do this in this realm. It's all, it's not real. Don't do that. But yeah, those of us that can do it, they really, really appreciate it. I'm telling you, they love singing.
Right. Any particular genre, or just singing a tune of any kind?
From your heart and spirit. If it doesn't even have to be words, it can just be a chant. As long as it's coming from the right resonance from your heart and spirit, they love it.
Yeah.
They can hear it.
And do you think everyone, like you obviously from a very young age had that ability to see with your third eye and had that strong connection. But do you think that's something that everyone can learn to do?
Yes. I believe that, I like to believe that everyone has it and it just needs to be nurtured like a plant, like anything, when you learn something, even if you've got a natural gift to paint or dance or whatever, You practice it and you get better and better and stronger in it. The same practice coming from your heart and spirit. Yeah, and all that positive stuff. Like nowadays, everyone's got the gist of where we're supposed to go in that realm. How we're supposed to be. Positive and loving, compassionate. And I know, I truly know, Sarah, that if anyone wants to be close to the hairy man, you have to come at them in that space. Otherwise, you could have a really, really awful experience. But if you come in honest, rigid truth, that you'll be accepted. Because it's nature. Nature can see you. They can see you. They can see your energy. They can hear your thoughts. They know you're coming before you get there.
So that
Unless
was,
you take it by surprise.
and that's something I remember we chatted about when I spoke to you and Donny last time, was that they can sense who you are and see what your heart is, how your heart is from a long distance away.
Yep. Yeah. They can. And they communicate with people from long distance away.
Yes.
They're highly telepathic.
Yes.
Among other things, yeah. Basically, you take your spiritual gifts and multiply it, and there you go. That's what you got. They can do all those things. The thing is, though, that you got to remember there are different kinds. And me and Donny were having a yarn yesterday, and even though we have a lot of knowledge in what we know, we're always learning stuff. So we're not like masters of anything because we're continually learning. And we knew that there's nice ones and grumpy ones, let's say. And we're talking about the grumpy ones, and they're far more grumpier than what we thought. We realised yesterday, eh, brother?
Yes, they are. It's far more grubbier.
How did you work that out? Were you feeling them, the grumpy ones, or were you talking about some of the sightings that people have had?
Yeah, well, I've listened to some of the shows there where people have, how would you put it, gone into the bush with bad intents, and they've, hairy man had a go at them. You know, that's the other thing too. They like the sound of motorbikes for some reason. You know, it must upset them, or I don't know, but they get really grumpy about them.
Yeah. I can understand that because they're the sound of motorbikes, especially trail bikes going through the forest when you've got this beautiful natural setting and it's beautiful and tranquil and serene, and then you get trail bikes revving and hooning around. I can understand why that is really irritating to them.
Yeah, it is. Last sort of encounter I had was about 3 weeks ago. Maybe it's 4 now. It was a sort of an encounter, I don't know. Then again, where it wasn't far away from a men's site, so I was up there cutting firewood for my mate, and I got a deal with him. If I help him, give him a day's work cutting up firewood, he give me a load of wood. Anyway, he had to go and deliver a load of wood. Now I'm on the block splitter there, busting up wood. You know how you get that feeling that somebody's watching you?
Yeah.
Anyway, there I'm cutting away there, and I'm still turning around and looking around and saying, somebody there felt watching me, there's something there. And anyway, I was halfway through it, and I stopped the machine, and I yelled out to him, why don't you bloody well show yourself? And about half an hour later, he wasn't back, and I decided to load up my utility. And loading the wood in the back of the old utility. And next minute, thud, right next to the utility, there was a big chunk of rock. It was a fair sized rock, like pretty close to big as a football. Landed right beside the utility. And he was telling me, I showed myself.
He sure did. He sure did. Nothing else is going to be throwing around rocks of that size in the bush.
Yeah. And I said to her, right. And I said, you can have it all to yourself. And I said, I'm going now. I only wanted the wood. And I had up and left then, because, show him respect, He showed himself. And that was all right by me.
Yeah.
Plus, I was trying to be respectful and say, well, I only got to come here to give me wood and now I'm gone. And that's what I did. If you show respect to them, yeah, they will leave you alone. Where that area is, where I was telling you where I get the firewood from, is not far away from there. It's a sacred men's site. See, that could be one of my spirits, ancestral spirits there, telling me, you be careful here because this is a men's site.
Oh,
And
right, yes.
you be respectful. I can't say there was a hairy man, or was it one of my ancestral spirits did that. So it's a toss-up there between one of the two. Because when you go near special sites, you've got to be respectful. And then, like, you just can't walk onto somewhere like a special site and say, oh, I'm not going to go and have a look-see. No, you don't do that. You've got to announce your intentions. And when you go onto the country, a special country, and you've got to smoke yourself. That's to stop spirits that go on to that area, or you've got bad intentions in your spirits, or to take spirits away from there.
What?
It's like a cleansing when we do smoking ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does that then that gives you, if you smoke yourselves and everyone in your group, then that gives you protection from.
Yeah, it does. It gives you protection, but what it's doing is you're smoking yourself. You're leaving the spirits that you're coming with out of that group, you know. And when you go onto their country, there might be a spirit that might want to latch on you, but when you smoke yourself off, they're not bad intents, for want of a better word. They were just they're protecting that site. Like, how would you call it? The white fella word there, sentinel. That's it. Is that the word? Yeah, sentinel.
Yeah, sentinel. Yep.
Yeah.
Like a guard,
They're
a watchman.
after that. Yeah. They're there to look after that special site. And you just go. That's to stop people from going there willy-nilly. You just don't go on the special sites, just especially if it's a men's site.
What can happen to you? I know you shared some stories with me. I'm not sure if you can share them or not, but what can happen to people if they stray onto onto country that's not supposed to be? Like if women go onto a sacred men's site, or a man goes onto a sacred women's site.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what happened to me. It's got to be about 7 months ago now, 7 or 8 months, maybe a bit more now. I was commissioned to do a job, look for sites up around near my area there. Anyway, we was there with archaeologist fellas, and we had to go to this property. And first archaeologist lady there, and that was the first indication there was something wrong, but I didn't take no notice. And then the second one, she nearly run over a lollipop man. That was the second one. The third one, when we went to do the smoking ceremony, the smoking leads didn't want to burn. And we had to try 3 or 4 times. That's where I should have said no. I should have gone, turned around and said, I'm going back home. But being pig-headed and stubborn is my own fault. Here, look. We went up into this area. Anyway, I was getting up there and I get this funny feeling we shouldn't be there. And we walked straight, smack bang into a woman's site. Burping chair, ceremonial ground, all that. And this mist, like, one of the ladies went missing. They couldn't find her. And then she turned back up, and just after that mist lifted, that's when I had the heart attack. And that was to teach me a lesson that I shouldn't have went on that side without, even if I'm a man, I shouldn't have went on there because I was warned 3 times.
Yeah,
And
right.
now I caught my punishment and I accept my punishment for not going onto that woman's side.
Yeah, brother, I want to explain though to listeners that it wasn't actually Brother Donny's fault. We have a problem in Australia that when you work for certain people, they want you to go places as an Indigenous person, and the places they send you to, you've got to do it under the visor of work. You either say, no, I'm not going there and pack your job in, or you go. Most people go, and I've seen so many people come to me after being somewhere that work has sent them, and I've just gone off my head. Part of being a water lily woman, I'm a healer. So they come to me for healing. What's going on? Why is these things happening to me? Where have you been? I say, and they go, I went here for work, and I'm like, wow. And I just go off my head. They keep sending our people to these places, and they're getting hurt. And I don't know what to do about it because it's under the visor of work. So poor brother was sent to a woman's place and had a heart attack under the visor of work. Sorry, I didn't want to get you in trouble there, Donny, but this is a growing concern for me. Our people are getting hurt, and some places they work outside. There are hairy men there protecting that area, and all sorts of things will go wrong, and people will get sick, and accidents happen, and people wonder why, but they're not listening to the biggest law of all is the law of nature, and the hairy men that are protectors of that also. I can't tell you the story behind what I know about being punished for a woman going to men's area. I can kind of skip around it because I get women come to me too, they've gone and done wrong things in the wrong place, and how serious it can become. It's real, it can be serious to the point where you will die. And if it won't happen today, it'll happen tomorrow. They'll wait 4 weeks, they'll wait 6 months, and they'll just wait for the right opportunity because you've done something wrong and your spirit needs to learn. And a lot of the times when the women go to men's area and do stuff, it's not all of a sudden come across this place and go, oh my, this is really interesting, what a wonderful place. Never seen anything like this before, and then keep walking. It's not like that. They deliberately go there and deliberately do things, and then comes upon them the punishment. And this is where the other kind of hairy man comes in. It's a spiritual form of hairy man, and I'm not sure whether they generate this or it's an actual being. I think more it's an actual being, eh, brother?
Yes.
And that's a law keeper, and that will be sent after you. And it doesn't matter where you are. You can live in the city, you can live in the bush. I don't know about leaving the country, but there's hairy men all over the world, so I wouldn't go doing that either.
Yeah. So if someone has, bad intentions and goes out onto ground that's they're not supposed to be there, and their intentions are bad, not just by accident, but really bad intentions, then they will get punished.
Oh, they'll be punished, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't know about spiritual stuff, they won't know what's happening to them. They'll just say they've had all this bad luck and I nearly got run over or got really sick. Getting sick, it's like this. So first you might get sick. They'll make you sick. And if you don't listen, then you'll start having accidents. And if you don't listen, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And then it gets to the point where these people seek out someone like me, Donny, or others in the community that understand these things, and go, help me, I don't know what's going on. And then you look and you go, oh my, what have you done?
And so how do you go about, if you realise that you've made a terrible mistake and you've been where you shouldn't be, how do you go about apologising or appeasing the spirits?
Okay. And the hairy men.
And the hairy men, yeah.
So it's a bit of a process. For women, I don't know what the men's ones is because, as you know, our people have men and women's business and we don't cross the line. And the only time we do is that you have to be usually old. So because when we do ceremony, if men do a ceremony, there's always an old woman in a camp not far by balancing out the energy. If the women do a ceremony, there's always an old man in a camp not far a way balancing out the energy, but they're usually old for many other reasons, and that's a different thing. But so what we would do, it's a bit of a ceremony and things that have to be done. So it's not done in one day, all right? So one day you do one thing, next day you do another, and then after that you go back and say sorry. Now, when you go back and say sorry, you're bearing your soul, and if you're not strong in it, and they don't. I've had people that aren't strong in it. Like, you know, when if you do something to someone and you apologise, and there's two ways of apologising. One's, I'm really sorry for what I've done. I was in a bad mood and I didn't realise you were there, and I turned around and I just snapped at you. I'm so sorry. And then the other one is, oh, I'm sorry, I was just in a grumpy mood. Okay, one's genuine, one's not.
Yeah.
If you go there with the non-genuine attitude, they're going to know, and the punishment might diminish, but it will still continue.
Yeah, right.
Because that's another lesson you need to learn, is how to be solid, how to be strong in who you are. What would you call it? Substance, you know, a person of good substance.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to teach you. So when you turn up in the bush and you've done the wrong thing, you don't stand there in shame. You put your head up and say, yes, you own what you've done. And that's the difference. So they know, and punishments accordingly. And because of the different worlds, we're not going to punish you because you did it for work, or we're not going to punish you because you did it for this reason. It doesn't work that way. There's two different laws. There's an LORE and an LAW.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the LORE doesn't acknowledge the other one. So if you've done the wrong thing, you just got to own it. You need to own it.
Otherwise, wear it. What I've had.
So I guess if you're out researching, this is for the listeners. If you wanted to know in your area if there are actually any sacred places where you shouldn't go, do you recommend that people contact some of the local elders to find out if there's anywhere they shouldn't go?
Yes, that'd be the best idea, is just to ask the local elders, where they're allowed to go and where they're not allowed to go. And not just one elder, ask 3 or 4, and women and men. Like, there's sites there where, like I said, when men is not supposed to go, where women are not supposed to go. And there's also, that involves children as well too. Because children are more acceptable to these type of things because they're young. They might be able to get away with it for a little while, but after that, it can become an issue.
They can still get punished, you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, they can. And because they're young and little, it's like an old person, it's harder to recover.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Physically, because it has its physical, it acts physically upon you.
Yep, yep.
I say, taking it back to hairy men. Oh, that's what I want to say with the hairy people. If you're hearing things about our culture, and as Donny said, you've got to ask more than one person, because we all hold different knowledges, and then we share knowledges, but we hold the knowledge that we know. That's our genre kind of thing. Like, you ask a man because he knows where the men's sites are, and then you ask a woman because they know where the women's sites are. Then you'll have someone else that does the healing spiritual work. Then you'll have someone else that does something else. So it pays to get to know everybody. Yeah, with the hairy people, if you know anything about our culture, they've got a culture too. And that's what I try to tell people. They're not just hairy people running around the bush. They have a culture, their own culture. And if you walk into one of their special places, you're going to be in the shit. That's probably why people get afraid, because they've accidentally maybe walked into one of their spiritual places or near one of their spiritual places. And the feeling is they get away from here. You don't belong here. You're not allowed to come here. Just like you would if you walked into, a woman walked into a men's area, that you can feel it. It's a repelling, like a magnetic repelling feeling, and you get a feeling of dread. I'm not supposed to be here.
Yes.
And if you don't leave, things start to happen.
Yeah. And so sometimes, because that's one of the things that people report all the time, is that suddenly they're just overwhelmed by this feeling of dread and that they're in danger and they need to get out of there. So for quite a long time we'd been thinking maybe that's the Yowie people sending out, infrasound or something that's making people feel really uneasy. But you're saying also that it could be the spirits of the land doing that as
and the
well.
dairymen themselves. Because it's like, imagine going to a party, right, and you've got a room full of people and there's someone in that room that doesn't like you. You're going to feel it. You haven't spotted them yet, but you walk into the party, you look around and go, oh, yeah, this is a nice party. And as you pan around, maybe you're going to, I want a drink or a food, and you pan around, then all of a sudden you've just panned over that person looking at you going, I don't like you. They're looking at you and you can feel it coming off them.
Yeah.
Then you'll go and get something to eat, and then you'll come back to that part of the room. You might be standing nearer them, and then you turn around and it's like, oh, that's the person that I felt when I walked in. So take that scenario, they're standing in the bush, you can't see them, they can see you. You're approaching an area you shouldn't be, and they're generating this feeling towards you. You shouldn't be here, what are you doing? And it's strong because they're strong beings, and you can feel it like that person in the party, and the closer you get to them, the more you feel it.
Yeah. So if
Yeah,
people
that's the
are,
best way to explain it for you.
yeah, and if people are feeling that while they're out bushwalking or researching or doing anything out in the bush, take heed of those feelings and respect those
Yeah,
feelings.
feel it out. Because even for me and Donny, we walk in the bush lots of times when we've seen many, many things and been many places that other people haven't. But the same thing, we've been places where it's gone, oh, I'm not going here. Turn around, walk away. It's not our place to be there unless you're invited.
Yeah. Uncle Donny, I remember you mentioned last time that the hairy people like collecting things like shoes. Do you want to tell that story?
Oh, yeah, I can tell that story a bit there. We were doing a sites walkover just outside of Tamworth. And anyway, was going up the side of the hill there, and there was a bare patch in the side of the hill. So we went up and had a look, and there was a heap of artefacts there. And they must have been coming back there all the time because where they've been sitting, you can actually see the hump where they've been sitting down there and making tools. And we were investigating that, and then my son and one of the archaeologists, rocky outcrop with a little bit of a bluff. And sitting on this rocky outcrop was 16 pairs of women's shoes. Way out in the middle of nowhere. Like, you had to get a four-wheel drive up there to get put them up there. If you wanted, if it's someone who had just dump them there, and they were just sitting there, these women's shoes, and there were all sorts of women's shoes, like women's boots, women's sandals, and there was just not one type of set. There was all types, There was even flashy ones. There was about 16 pairs of them. We were thinking to ourselves, not a body over the bluff there, so we went out over, looked over there. There was no body, no nothing over there. But all these shoes were just there. And it still got me stumped why them shoes were up there.
Do you think maybe it was...
Heard stories.
Sorry,
What
go
was
on.
that, Sarah?
No, sorry, I was just going to say, do you think maybe it was maybe a juvenile Yowie out and finding things like that?
I've heard stories that the old hairy men, they got a tendency to pick up, what do you want to call it, souvenirs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that same creek that I was on, where all these 16, it was like a little hill, and down below was a creek. And I went up to a men's site. My dad was up the top of that creek where it starts, and he pulled up there one day and he leant his old 22 up against the this tree, I meant to say, and rolled himself a smoke. And after he finished the smoke, he got up and went down to the creek and had a drink of water, come back, and the rifle was missing. Within that 5 minutes of him getting a drink and going back to pick his rifle up, it was gone. Totally gone. There was no one else around.
That's weird.
I've heard other stories where things like other things have gone missing, then they found them way up in the bush. Like, that reminds me, that goes back to, we used to up in Stanthorpe there, we used to, but you didn't hear this, but we was doing a bit of poaching and, shooting a few rabbits. And way out in the middle of nowhere, underneath this tea tree, it looked like somebody had been camped there, and was sitting right there was a $2 note. And I was thinking, me and my brother was thinking to ourselves, why would they bring out a $2 note way out in the middle of nowhere, put it in this bloody, like, something had been camped there. It didn't look like human because there was no fire or nothing near it. It was just this $2 note, just sitting there. Because we would go shooting rabbits and make a bit of pocket money, but that $2 note was sitting there. And
how odd.
Yeah, that's really odd, that one.
Yeah.
Could I tell the other story about when we had to go up there? I can only tell you this little bit.
Yeah, sure.
I can't tell you the rest because there was a men's side place and I don't want to talk about it too much because that's men's business.
Yep.
And we had to go because the archaeologist there, fellow says, oh, no, you've got to go up in there, have a look, see what's up in there. And I really didn't want to go, so we smoked ourselves and went up in there. And anyway, we was getting halfway up there, and I jumped over a little puddle in the creek, and I looked down there. What was it? My bloke was with me, and the archaeologist fella. I said, come and have a look at this. And he says, right. And I said, come and have a look at this. In this little puddle of water was a dead pig. In this dead pig, he would have been about 60 kilos, this pig. He had been stabbed in the forehead with a cow horn. He had been stabbed through the heart with a goat horn. And one of his back legs was ripped off.
Wow.
Now, this could have been, what's they call them over America there? They call it, gifting. This could have been gifting. I'm not 100% sure on it. Because the last time we went up in there, because we only went halfway up the last time, because I said to the fellas, there's an hairy man up here, I want to leave something here because we're going into his country. And I left 2 apples behind. And it wasn't far from there where we found the pig. So that could have been a gifting, or it could have been a warning.
Ah, okay. So a gift back to you to say thank you for your gift. Yeah.
Yes.
Or as you said, maybe a warning, don't come back. Nothing else other than a human being or a hairy person has the power and the hands, the opposable thumbs and the strength to do that, to drive a horn through the head of a pig.
Yeah, because they're pretty tough in the forehead there.
Yeah, yeah.
And the drive, like the goat horn, it had gone through his chest and it was sticking out of his back.
Wow. That is immense strength, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't think even a human being would be able to do that.
No, that's sheer strength.
Yeah.
They got the ability, they got the strength in both ways, spiritually and physically.
Yeah. You mentioned to me when I spoke to you both a couple of weeks ago, that there were reasons why, like 3 reasons why the hairy people show themselves to human beings. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, one is, I think, I'm not 100% sure on this one, but it's initiation. Like, how would you say it? To show themselves to a human and get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To
So
me, that's to do something like that. It would be initiation.
yeah. So a young
Young.
young hairy
Yeah,
person to reaching an age where they have to, they're an initiation age where they're kind of being initiated from being a child to an adult, and it's a sign of bravery and cleverness and speed and agility to show yourself to a
yeah,
human and then come back and be able to say, this, I did this, so I'm
yeah,
now,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
now I'm
initiated.
initiated.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The other one is spiritual, because if you listen to the fellas after they had this, an encounter, even women, children, they sort of go very spiritual after that,
Mm-hmm.
because when you get blasted from them, it sort of triggers something in you,
Yeah.
and it makes you more spiritual. Because there's a lot of people I've had yarns with them, they say, "Oh, after they've seen the old hairy man, they're going, oh, see, I start seeing things with my third eye and all this, and I, see the future, see the past, see the spirits and all that." And I think they give you a gift of that too, because after I seen, what's that word, that third eye kick in, after that, I started noticing, getting things like deja vu and all that thing, things like event going to come up and things like that.
So it's to
Uh,
cause you to jolt you maybe into a spiritual
yeah,
awakening and to reconnect with that part
it's
of yourself.
awakening. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. Now the other one is when you muck up in the bush, they're going to give it to you. They're definitely going to give it to you. When you do silly things in the bush, like tear up the bush with the old motorbike.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard a lot of stories about hairy men chasing people on motorbikes.
Yeah.
I've also heard stories about hunters being chased out of the bush by hairy men.
Yeah. And people with chainsaws, I've heard
Yeah.
stories
They
of
don't
them
like
getting really
chainsaws.
angry.
Never don't like chainsaws.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they
Chopping.
cut down the bush.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't like someone to come along with a bulldozer and push over your house there, would you?
No. I can totally understand why they get angry and they're not happy with people with chainsaws.
They also teach you a lesson like, I was watching one of your shows there about a young bloke there, he's a hunter, and he said he left an apple behind. It was a bit, a bit gronky. He didn't want to eat. And that old hairy man got out in front of him and he ate the apple in front of him, the apple he left behind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's to tell him that waste not, want not.
Don't
Yeah,
hunt.
you tell him,
Don't take it more from the
yeah,
bush than you need.
yeah. There's a difference between what you want and what you need is two different things.
Yes, that's a very good point. That was from Putty in New
Yeah,
South
down
Wales. Yeah. Uncle Donny, you mentioned to me when I spoke to you the other day that you'd found like a cage-like structure.
Oh, that to be down on the Moonby Ranges there. I can't figure that one out because it could have been a young juvenile, and what they'd done is there was a little sapling tree, was leaning over a little bit, and you could smell, it was a campsite where somebody had been camped because the grass was all pushed down and had a sort of like a sulphur smell. And what they did is they got all the dead sticks and they jammed it through the leaves into the ground around this little sapling tree. And whatever had crawled up in there was camped in there. That's about the same spot where my daughter randomly, she grabbed the phone off and she said, I'm going to go on, you can here's the phone, go and take some photos. So she just took some random photos. And I said, yeah, okay, you do that. Anyway, I was looking at the photos later on. And I said, Michelle, well, that's my daughter. I said, have a look at this. And I zoomed it in and across the road where they done the cutting in it, across the road up on the bank there was an old hairy man standing there. He was standing a little near a little sapling tree. The sapling tree would have been about 5 or 6 feet tall. He towered over the top of this sapling. But the funny part about it, he had something in his hand that looked like either a spear or a stick. It was straight. It was told to me years ago. The old hairy man used to use fire and they used to use tools.
Oh, right.
But when white settlement came here, they stopped doing that, especially the fire bit.
Right, as to not draw attention to themselves?
Yeah, I say so.
Yeah, right.
It's the old fellas used to say they used to use fire.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I haven't heard many stories of them, although there is the odd story of them being curious about campfires. But interesting that that perhaps they used fires but then stopped because of the white invaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother's story on the fire, we were discussing that earlier. They some of them use fire.
Do you think they're using it for? I mean, obviously they'd be using it for warmth.
No, I think more along the lines of cooking, but they seem to done away with that because I think when the white settlement start coming through, and they seen the smoke, and inquisitive white people, they got a bad habit of going, oh, well, what's that smoke here? We'll go and have a look, see.
Yes.
And that's probably there when the old hairy man said, no, we're not going to use that no more. But here's still stories about the old hairy men still use fire, but out in the Western country. And they reckon old hairy men out there in the Western country will use fire.
Are you talking about Western Australia?
Central
and Western.
Western Australia.
Yeah.
In the desert, in the rocky kind of mountain areas.
Uh-huh. And I guess there's a whole lot less
away from us.
Well, yeah, I was going to say there are a lot less people out there, so
away from us. Every time I talk about, all my memories are jogging now because we've been talking about it. Every time I talk about them, though, I so feel for them so much because it's like our people; they've been displaced in certain ways, except they can't be assimilated because if they are, then everyone knows there's, it wouldn't be good. Yeah, while we're talking, my memory's being jogged here. I did see a hairy man in my early 20s. I was in the rain and I was staying at a friend's house out in the middle of the rainforest and it looked onto a mountain. And I remember sitting there by myself one day and looking at this mountain and I'm looking and I'm thinking, what the hell is that moving up there? And to me, there was no one else there, so I can't verify this. And I wasn't up close, so I can't say that I felt anything. This was just eyesight. I looked up there, and he was a creamy tan colour. And what I remember about it is that as I'm watching, he's moving around, and then it looked like he must have either walked into a cave, because it just looked like he kind of walked into the mountain. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, that'd have to be a cave. An opening somehow. And I remember running to tell my husband, I just saw this. And no one didn't raise anybody's interest or anyone didn't say anything. They just kind of looked at me and I thought, oh, well, I'll just pack that memory back in the back there.
I can't believe it if they didn't react to that. If somebody came to me and said, oh my God, I just saw this, I'd be like, what? Tell me about it.
Yeah, no one reacted. Another thing too, I remember it was like someone tapped me on the shoulder. When I was a little girl, I remember walking in the bush. There were 2 instances Donny mentioned the bad smell. Remember twice I was walking there and I could smell something and it was not good, and I just remember smelling it and thinking, oh, I don't want to go. And I look back now and think, was that a hairy man standing there? And I could smell him.
Yeah, maybe. Could very well be.
Another thing too, here in Australia, the size of the trees, if they're big trees, they're big hairy men. If they're little trees, they're the little hairy men.
So I guess that makes sense when it comes to hiding. If you're a 15-foot tall creature and you're living in land that has kind of short, scrubby trees, then you're going to spend a lot of time on your hands and knees, aren't you?
Or run around pretending to be a tree.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they're very good at that too, aren't they? They're very good at pretending to be trees.
I'd say to anyone that meets one face to face in a unguarded moment and you're worried, look at their teeth. Because if most animals, even us, if they're meat eaters, they'd have two sharp teeth. If they're not really meat eaters, their teeth would be more like ours and flattened. So I know it's not something you think about if you got faced in a terrible moment, but it'll give you an indication whether to panic or not.
Yeah, but it's true. We do get people reporting different kinds of teeth, and sometimes they report having those big pointy canine teeth, and sometimes they say no, they actually had really like human-like teeth, kind of blunt teeth. So that is.
There are some that would eat us. That's what we were talking about, the grumpy ones.
Yeah, so
they eat meat. Yeah.
They're not all good ones out there, are there?
No, they're different. They're just like humans. We're all different. We have a culture. They have a culture. Some of us are kind and benevolent. Some of them are benevolent. Some of them are malevolent and they're angry and they eat meat, and it's just the same. They're different kinds. And the meat eaters are probably bigger and more aggressive. Common sense will tell you a lot.
Yeah.
Even walking in the bush, common sense tells you if you smell something weird or feel weird, something wrong here, perhaps I should not go that way.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about, I can't tell you a lot about it, but I'll tell for everyone, yes, they do go invisible.
Oh, yes. This is something that people have reported to us, to Australian Yowie Research, and to me doing Yowie Central as well. I've had reports of people seeing beings that seem to disappear in front of their eyes, or that people can see the outline of a big bipedal being there with big shoulders and a head and legs, but they can't see any colour. It's like they're transparent. So, yeah, did you want to share what you can share about that, Aunty Luna?
Yeah, only because, here we go, I watched your interview on someone else's show, Sarah, and they mentioned it, and when they talked about it, I thought, oh, you're spot on, man.
Yes. Oh, was that on... was that Pork and Beans show?
Yeah,
Was that one that I was on recently? Yes.
Yeah, Donny alerted me to it, and I thought I'd go over and have a listen. And they on point when it comes to the invisible, so I don't have to say much there. But
okay, so for the listeners, you can go and check out the show that I did on the Pork and Beans show. There's a link in the Facebook group, in the Yowie Central Facebook group, but it's on YouTube. And to Brian and Mike, their names are lovely, really interesting fellas, and they had a lot to say about their ongoing spiritual relationship with the Sasquatch, with the hairy people over there. And Mike particularly was talking about his how he managed, after practicing this and practicing, how he managed to make his leg go invisible. And it was all about raising your vibration but stilling your mind, wasn't it?
Yes. No, so it's like, where would your mind be? your mind, stilling your mind would be the best way. And and the vibration rises, and you how can I put it? You're still there. It's not like you're going to go anywhere, so you're still there. You just can't see.
And that explains why so many people report beings that are there 1 minute and gone the next.
Yeah, that's really.
They haven't actually. Well, they've raised their vibration and done whatever they do, and used this incredible skill they have to go invisible, so that you can't see them, and they can get away from you, and they can move then silently. You can't hear them, but they're actually there and moving around. You just can't hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Levitate themselves too.
What was that, Uncle Donny? They levitate?
They can levitate themselves because if you hear them say, like, can't find no tracks. The reason
yes.
is that is they can levitate themselves. They can basically, what I'm trying to explain is they can basically walk on air. That's why they don't, you can only find 1 or 2 tracks. But there is one thing is a bit of a flaw with this. To do that on a spiritual level, it takes a lot of energy. And after a while, you've got to come back down from it.
A story about that, but it's got to do with a Native American grandfather that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
When he was young, he was in a lodge and was with the elders, and they were dancing, doing a spiritual thing. And it was, he was outside, that's right, because it was raining and it was muddy, and they were dancing in the rain in a circle. Anyway, when it was over, an elder came up to him and said, "You didn't dance." And he goes, "Yes, I did." He says, "Well, why don't you have mud on your moccasins?" He wasn't touching the ground.
There you go. There you go. So it's that he's using a similar tactic, a similar ability.
He didn't tell me what the ceremony was or anything. He just said
Right.
it plain like that. But whatever they were doing was at a high vibration, and obviously he didn't touch the ground. That's why he had no mud on his moccasins. To hear that, what Donny said, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like I said, they take our spiritual stuff and times it. That's what they have.
Yeah. I wonder if they can see each other when they do that and they become invisible to the human eye, whether if there are 2 hairy people together and they both disappear together, whether they can see each other in that state or they can't see each other either. I wonder.
That'd be a hard question for me because I really don't know that one.
Yeah, really.
We'll have to do an experiment, brother, next time I come up and we walk on country.
Yes.
See if we can do it, eh?
And let me know.
Both do it and then we'll see if we can see each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to hear the results of that. Please keep me posted.
And now that you were talking about disappearing there, Sarah.
Yeah.
My cousin over there, he gave an underweight, that fella, cousin. He tracked one for about 3 miles. Yeah, 3 miles. He said 3 miles. He said, I tracked him, Donny. He said, when he got right up to him, he said he just went, poof, disappeared. He said, I could not find no tracks, no nothing after that. He said, he just disappeared in front of my eyes. And he said, I could not find anything. You see, there's also another thing they got it, how would you say it? For want of a better word for it, they can project into your mind and say, I'm a tree stump.
Oh,
And you're
camouflage.
just looking at it like a tree stump, you know? But that might be a whole area man there looking at you.
Yep.
Or I'm a cow.
One of
Or
the.
I'm a rock.
Oh, really? So they could do any
Camouflage.
any
you
object.
project their thoughts into your mind and say, right, I'm a kangaroo. And you're looking, oh, that's a kangaroo over there. But it's not, it's a hairy man. And he's looking straight at you. Yeah, they're pretty crafty for doing things like that.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sure are. I've heard from more than one witness that the yowie they were looking at seemed to turn into a tree stump. I have heard that before. In fact, I can think of one when the witness said exactly that. She saw one up ahead on the side of the road, definitely a yowie, and then as she got closer in her car and passed, she looks out the window and it's a tree stump. It had turned into a tree stump. But she was she was certain about what she could see though. It wasn't a tree stump when she first saw it. Yeah.
And all his mates were standing on the hill rolling around laughing.
That's right. Tricked you.
Did you see the look on that lady's face? She doesn't know what to believe.
They're pretty crafty at doing things like that.
Yeah.
Now, there's the other thing too. I'll say this. Because they do that thing on that spiritual level, how would you put it? What you're going to do on that spiritual level, you get residue in the bush there, like blue sparks. Some people call them orbs.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was interested in that lady there which you were interviewing when she went through Parry.
Oh, yep.
There's been a lot of yowie sightings around that Parry area.
Yeah, there have been.
And what she might have seen was actually a residue of him doing that on a different level. Like, how would you explain it to? Can't think of the name for a good word for it. But like you see orbs and things like that.
Yeah. Lots of people report that.
Well, that's that residue from doing that on that spiritual level.
Okay, so it's like a little ball of energy or something.
It's kind of
like when you do spiritual work like that, it's like you charge up the air.
Yep.
And like it's full of energy then, like electricity, and then it sparks. And it'll also attract other beings.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like when I've been up bush, you can. I've noticed that if there's hairy men around around the area there, and if they're doing that spiritual thing, you get this blue sparkle through this bush, and that somebody's doing magic, and you see these little sparkles of blue sparkles all over the place. Because when I first seen it, I was thinking, what the bloody hell is that stuff for? No, when you're younger, you don't take much notice of it. And I thought, when I first seen it, I thought, my eyes are playing up there. But when on that spiritual level, that's the residue coming off that,
Can I say to you, when Uncle Donny says magic, I don't want people to think like witchcraft magic or incantation kind of magic. It's not that kind of magic. Our people call spiritual energy magic. We just say, good, you got magic, you got bad magic. You use...
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know what our language word is for that kind of energy, but it's not that kind of magic, white fellas.
Yeah, so it's not witchcraft, it's not spells.
No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we got a word like when somebody break law, mainly when they break law, the mob get together and they do a ceremony which we call singing up. You ever heard the old fellow saying singing up?
Singing up?
Sarah?
No, I haven't heard that term before.
Yeah, that's where, like, you break law.
Yeah.
They're going to sing you up and, punish you for what you've done wrong.
Right.
When you break law.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's when the word sing up come up. Because you broke law.
Right, got it.
Now, I truly believe that we're not supposed to talk and we're supposed to be telepathic, and the only time we're supposed to use our voice is for singing things.
It's for singing.
Yeah.
Is where you can sing things, right? In our culture, if a man likes a lady, right, and she might live far away or something, you can sing her, she'll turn up.
Oh, I love that. I love that
Don't
idea.
go trying that, you fellas. You might do it wrong and you might attract the wrong woman, right?
Yeah, be careful what you sing for.
And if she's stronger than you, it won't work out really well.
That's right.
Yeah, but normally that's what you do, like, under like proper intention, proper,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, singing up. So yeah, we can sing things up.
Oh, so it's not just related to sing up. It's not just related to punishment, but it's also related to that kind of
It's related,
magic, that kind of energy work.
so you can sing cleansing, you can sing healing, you can sing all kinds of things.
You can actually make plants to grow if you sing to them too.
Ah,
That's primarily what we use it for, helping things grow and heal and stuff like that. And I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that.
Oh, I hope not too, because I'm finding this so fascinating, and I know there's a lot of listeners out there who will be so grateful to you and will really, really enjoy learning what you're teaching us.
Yeah, but the trouble is, though, Sarah, you see, when we tell the story, we used to always get brushed aside for it, superstitious blackfellas. It used to make me laugh, and then they come back later and say, "Oh, you're right, Donny."
Yeah.
But most of the time we get brushed aside for it, which is annoying because we're trying to tell them the truth.
Absolutely, really annoying. But I think with the kind of audience, with the people who listen to my show, there are already people who are open-minded to this world and to what you have to teach, so that they're not like your standard normal person, who might brush aside. I get brushed to one side too, by my own family even. I can't even talk about this stuff. They think I'm completely, crazy.
Yeah, bonkers. Yeah, bonkers, they say.
Bonkers,
No,
absolutely.
there's something wrong with there, Sarah.
Exactly.
She's going silly.
I know.
Yeah.
I can see it. They roll their eyes. I can see it in their faces. They're thinking, "Oh my God, what what path have you gone down? You're a weirdo."
Yeah, I just cut straight to it when I meet someone and go, "Look, I'm the craziest person you'll ever meet." Just don't be surprised about what I'm going to say.
Take the sick, ladies.
Yeah, no worries. I'll proudly own that.
Own it. Yeah.
I'll proudly own it. And look, I feel I'm so grateful to the universe, to everyone who has taught me and shared knowledge with me over the last few years about all of this stuff, because I didn't grow up with any of this knowledge, and it's made me a better person and way more in tune to my spirituality and that connection with the land, with nature, that with the third eye, all of that stuff is I knew nothing or very little about that, and now I do. Thanks to people like you guys who are sharing, very kindly sharing your knowledge. So I think there might be people who brush this sort of stuff off, but you will be reaching the people who really are really passionate about learning about this stuff, and who need to know this, and to whom it resonates really strongly, and you'll be helping to wake people up.
Yeah. But sometimes a toolbox full of tools are out there, but sometimes you can't fix stupid.
No, that's so true. That's so true. But anyway, look.
All I can say to people that are sceptical whether the hairy people exist, in my research, because I know what my mum think, and I was wondering what the rest of the world thought, so I went searching, and I found old paintings and stuff, and the YouTube show that I have, actually I did a show on it, and I show these old paintings and that on my show, and drawings and sketches and things like that, and they show you not just hairy men but dog-headed people and all other kinds of beings being hunted and killed by knights in shining armour. And it makes you wonder, and I'm not just talking about individuals, whole towns, like the whole mobs of these beings are being rounded up. And there's one particular one where there's a hairy man and they're throwing him on the fire.
Oh, God, how awful.
Yeah, so that tells me back then we lived with them. It was a natural part of our daily lives in all the whole world. And then the others came in. They look like knights in shining armour, right? They came in, they started eradicating anything that wasn't like them. So I say, do your history, dig deep, look at these old paintings and sketches and all that of these others. We live with other beings, we always have.
Yeah. And I remember last time I spoke to you, you spoke to me about, well, I asked you about Dogman, and because I hadn't found at that stage any original Australian stories about Dogman, and it seemed to be a fairly new cryptid being that was being seen here in Australia. But you mentioned to me Dingo Man.
Yeah, Dingo Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, look, well, I spoke to an elder one time. He dead now because I can't say his name because that'd be disrespectful.
Yep.
And I showed him a picture of a dogman from over America. He said, "Have a look at this, uncle." And he looked at it and he said, "Oh," he said, "that's the New England screaming lady." I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he wouldn't answer after that.
The New England screaming lady, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
And,
I'm assuming that they called it that because of the sound it makes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he said that's what he said that was. He said, "There's no New England screaming lady." And so there is stories up here, but they don't. It's really hard to get get them to yarn up about it because they don't like talking about it because I think they get ridiculed as much as anyone else does when they talk about things like that. So they don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is actually a being that the original Australian people know about and have seen here in Australia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now there's also a story. You can get it in a book. It's somewhere over, I think, near Uluru. Because I've seen the book. It was the Dreamtime story. It talks about Dingo Man, but he was a shapeshifter. He could turn into a goanna, echidna, and the story was when he broke law, the tribe was to send this fella out. And he was a Dingo Man. If I still got the book here, I'll see if I can retrieve it and I'll send you some photos of it.
Oh, that would be great. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. And, there was a report, I remember listening to a bloke down near Taree. He said he seen a yowie, but he had a dog's face.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that one of the AYR reports?
I don't know if it was one of your albums or not, but but he was saying that he went outside and he, wanted to do business outside, and he looked down near the fence line. He said it was crouched down. He looked at him and he said it had a dog's face on it, and then took off into the bush.
Yeah, we've had a few reports now of dog-headed beings, and someone who got onto the Yowie Central Facebook group and was quite aggressive in his message, basically saying that the fact that we're even entertaining the idea that Dogman exists in Australia is ridiculous, and that there's no there's no Aboriginal stories of Dogman, and they don't exist in Australia, and we're just copying the United States because they have long
They've
history.
been out here pretty long time there.
I heard story of the two dingo brothers that killed the lizard man because he ate one of the other brothers. The lizard man lived with their people for a long time, but because the lizard man, as we know, lizard people eat them, he couldn't help one day and he couldn't control himself and he ate one of the dingo brothers, so the other dingo brothers came and killed him.
Right. Yeah, so there
I
are stories then.
We
Yeah.
have lots of stories. That's why me and Donny jumped up and started talking about this stuff. Because the stories we know all over Australia from different mobs, there's all sorts of beings. There's all sorts of stories. It goes way back to the canopy that dropped from the dewdrops, and then we had giant trees. It talks about that. It talks about giants. Like, Sarah, you got no idea. I'm surprised that the Northern Hemisphere people are still scratching their heads going, is it real? Is it real? Because for our people, we know these things are real.
Yeah.
They're in our culture. And there's the things that are there, the beings and they're real. One of them I found really, really funny. There's a story of two beings. One being is short, round and blue, and the other being is tall and skinny and dark coloured, black like. And the tall skinny beings like us and the little blue beings don't. And there's stories, old stories about being in the bush, and when kids play, the tall skinny beings will always watch over them because the short little fat beings are going to cause the skinny beings always behind the tree watching us. Nowadays they call it, what was it, Donny? That's tall skinny.
Slender Man.
The Slender Man. And I make jokes. I go, they dressed the Slender Man and gave him a hat. Because it's not our culture. The Slender Man didn't wear clothes.
You would know you do. You would know you do.
And he was the being that watched over us. And I've read UFO stories and alien stories and that from other people. And then one in particular talked about these little blue, round, flat beings. And I recognised them and went, don't trust them. They're the ones that cause you mischief.
So do you think that do you think those short, fat, blue beings are actually aliens, or are they beings from this world?
Well, this is what I say to people, Sarah. If I was in a country that you didn't know about and had technology and flying craft that you'd never seen, and then come to your country, where would you think I come from?
Yeah, another world.
Yeah. Now, these beings have always been here. They obviously live here too, right?
Yeah.
They lived with us. They didn't jump off a ship. That skinny being didn't jump off a ship and go, oh, hang on, just drop down there. There's some kids playing and I can see a blue being. It lived here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they've been here. They are here, and they've been here a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah, they've been here. Been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Right past dreaming there too.
What was that last thing you said, Uncle Donny?
I said, right past the dreaming there.
Yeah, right.
All our Dreamtime stories are telling about everything. If you just sit down and listen to it, you've got to listen to interpret the story.
Yeah.
When we talk about our Dreamtime, people think, that was something lilalu a long time ago. It wasn't. It's still happening. It never stopped. It just kept going. We're in it now still.
Yeah.
We're still in Dreamtime. Like, that dreaming never stops. It's just, they say, way back in the Dreamtime, but it's not. It's still here.
It's still here, yeah. But it's that other, the way somebody explained it to me recently, it's that world that you see with your third eye. It's that invisible world. It's the magic that's around us all the time. That's the dreaming.
Yeah, that's the dreaming, yes, that's right.
It's not just ancient myths about how the earth was created. It's not just that. It's so much more than that. It's actually all around us all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So knowing that, now you know how the hairy people are still connected, and that's why they're 10 times better at it than we are, because they never got disconnected.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Luna, what was do you want to tell the listeners where they can find your YouTube show so they can check it out? Because I reckon it sounds absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. So if you go on YouTube and you look up Luna, there's going to be hundreds of them. But if you type in people of wisdom watching our world, put Luna first and then people of wisdom watching our world, it'll come up, and it's the little round circle logo thing is a goanna. The goanna symbol, that's me. That's the Luna you're looking for. And I do a thing called G'day Saturday. And there's other stuff on there too, because I've got other people that bring me up and go, what are you doing? Nothing. Can I talk? And I go, yeah, we'll just do a show out of the blue. And it's not called G'day Saturday, so I've got other stuff there, interesting stuff. Everything has a spiritual connotation to it, because that's what I do. Uncle Donny's often on there as well. And you know what we realised today, Sarah, that we do these shows, but we've never actually done one for ourselves about hairy men.
Oh. Well, you're going to have to do one now, aren't you?
That's what I said to Donny. I said, okay, we're going to have to do it for ourselves now.
Yeah.
And it's only a new channel. I just do it because I think too the knowledge needs to be shared, especially spiritual knowledge and knowledge about the others, that they've always been here. Because there are untruths being told in the world today, and we want people to really think for themselves. We're not here to convert you. We're just here to say, hey, what do you reckon about that?
And wouldn't it be a better world if everyone starts to reconnect with their spiritual side, with this part of life, with the dreaming? Wouldn't it? I think it would be a much more caring, loving, compassionate place if we all did that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's for a good cause.
Oh, you're going to get me going now, Sarah, because I believe over the last, it's been happening for a while, but really intense over the last few years, people are waking up, what they call wake up. They're understanding this stuff. It's just about understanding. I've always said there's nothing like hidden or anything. It's just what we don't understand yet. So everyone's starting to understand how things work now. They're learning about energy. They're learning that we can heal, that the trees and that have their own spirit and their own life force, and we can connect to that. We're all learning this now, and it's part of the way that we're walking as a world together. This is what our spirits want in the core of every human being that I've met. They want love and peace and harmony and just want to get on with everyone else and make a beautiful world. It's happening. We're struggling and fighting another force, but it's happening individually. Each person lights up, and that's what it's about. So that's why, like I said, me and Donny have popped our heads up and gone, we're going to take a chance and start giving some information out.
Oh, go you. That just made my heart feel so happy hearing that.
A lot of the time, it's nothing that, you might only hear us say it for the first time, but there's always something inside you that goes, bang, I knew that was true, that rings true, that's what I felt.
Yes.
And then you can tick it off as a confirmation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's whatever resonates for you, exactly as you said. Suddenly I might hear something and I suddenly go, oh, of course, that's it. Yeah, that makes it totally makes sense. Yeah,
light bulb moment.
Absolutely light bulb moment. Yeah.
And I reckon if we can get our act together and then a lot of us can reach this vibration, I believe that the hairy nation, parts of them will come forth and join with us because we're ready. But it means like you can't have your toothpaste in your plastic bottle, plastic tube. It doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't. There's some things you can't have because they don't match. And this is what I think we're all learning in this world today, is that, hang on a minute, this isn't important. I know what's important now. It's not those things that they've led us to believe. This.
And
So yeah, I look forward. I hope I live long enough to see.
Yeah, I hope to see the big change come too.
yeah, me
A
too.
union, a reunion. I would like to say, us and nature.
Yeah.
Reunion.
Well, there'd
Yeah,
be
Rick.
a reason why all three of us chose to be incarnated at this time and this place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of us, everyone listening, we're all here for. I feel like getting my friend Megaphone Man, Megaphone. It's okay, everybody.
Yeah.
We're all here. We was planned this way. Just sit tight.
That's
Put
right.
your seatbelt on.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you're so right. Not just us three, but everyone who's listening, every single person who's alive at the moment has this potential to reconnect and is what chose to be incarnated at this very time and in what is an incredible upheaval, a incredible time of upheaval. And hopefully the upheaval before a beautiful step up for the human race and for all the other beings who are sharing this planet.
They're waiting for us. They're like, hang on. We've been inhibited, though. We know that, but they're waiting for us to get to that level.
Trouble was, we were at that level at one stage, and then we lost it. Now we've got to get it back again.
Do you mean so back from? Because I have heard that we had those abilities, back when Atlantis existed.
Yes. Atlantis.
I would say we get to a point where we have a choice. Are you going to choose technology like the computer I'm staring at right now, or natural technology like talking to the hairy men with my mind?
Yes.
Yes.
And that would take quite some unlearning, wouldn't it, for our technology-dependent societies?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
But if I said to you, the future depends on you, this is for everyone listening, the future depends on you. Creator made you special. You can reach a vibration that will change things. When you reach this vibration, everyone like you will be there as well, and all together you can raise the whole vibration of the whole realm.
Well, I just got goosebumps listening to that.
But that's how simple it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Brother Donny were talking about the weather that we've been having, how there's a lot of water.
Mm.
And we were kind of saying that there were a lot of people doing ceremony for this water. And I said to him that the fact that we all got told at the same time means that it was meant to happen. And I believe the same without reaching that vibration and raising your light, that the same thing will happen. We're all going to reach maximum at the same time.
Do you think it's going to happen in the next, couple of years, or are we talking a couple of decades?
Oh, well, that's what I said before. I just hope I'm still alive to see it happen.
Yeah.
I think
Take one day at a time there.
Yes.
I think a lot of us
Yeah.
wouldn't be here. This is where some of us are to contribute to it and some of us will actually witness it. Depends how long you've been around, I suppose.
Yeah. And what your job is in this lifetime.
I was exactly going to say that, what your job is. We all know individually we have different jobs to do.
Yep.
And that's what we're supposed to do, not worry about what's going on in the world.
That's right.
Is what is your job, and do it. And do it to them. Be happy and do it, because then you know you're that little hair sticking out of the mother vibrating and singing at the right tune. That's what we need to do.
That's
You
right.
do yours, I do mine, Brother Donny does his, we're all doing it, and that's how it should be. Get distracted and bring fear and worry and stress into it, we're not singing at the right tune anymore.
Yeah.
That's right.
Reason why we believe there's more than just one mob around, as you would say there, Sarah. When I was telling you about the Hawkes River monster.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a good example. Now, our old fellas used to, when they seen something, they used to carve it on a rock or paint it, because the creature I seen was the same carving on a rock down there near Luna got the photo of it.
Yeah, I sent it to Sarah.
Yeah. It's like a Loch Ness monster kind of shape.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you that story, Sarah, because it's kind of backwards. So I didn't know that it existed, and I didn't know that those carvings are up the river there, because it's not far away from where I live, this place. So I've been going there a long time in my life, Leolu, and I swam in there lots. But this particular day, we come down off the mountain. I spent the night up on top of the mountain, and we saw things. There was a big light and looking at us while we were sitting on top of the mountain on the veranda that night, and we knew the visitors were around. And the next day was really hot, so we headed down the mountain to the river. So me, my friend, and her dog jumped in the river. It was a hot day, couldn't ask for anything else. It's heaven, right? Perfect life. And then I'm in the river swimming around, and all of a sudden I got this dread, thinking, kind of dread you get on land if you're in the wrong place, but I'm in water. What's going on? I've been here 100 times. There's nothing around here. There's no sharks. There's nothing going to eat me. Why do I feel dread? And all I could hear while I was feeling this was get out the water, get out the water, get out the water, get out the water. I'm thinking, okay, I'm out. So I get up, I get out the water. I said to my friend, just get out the water now. She goes, why? I said, just get out the water. She swam around going, but why? It's beautiful. It was totally oblivious to what I was feeling. Dog knew. The dog got out the water and we're standing there. I said, get out the water, sister. And I said, I don't know what's in that water, but there's something in there and it's big. And I can't understand what I'm feeling. Anyway, time goes by and Brother Donny goes, have you seen that carving? What carving? It's not far from you where you live. And then I seen it and went, oh my. That's what I was feeling. It was in the water that day.
Right.
Pityville people can't see the picture, but it was very, very big. All I knew, whatever was in the water was very large, and I was in danger. I couldn't figure out what it was because it was a river, not an ocean.
I can share that picture when I share a link to the show on Facebook, on the Yowie Central Facebook group. I can in the comments underneath it, I can post those photos.
Oh yeah, that'd be good because then they'll get an idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because on the other side of the river, there were people in boats and that swimming, and I knew whatever was in the water was not near them; it was near me. So because it's a pretty wide river, right?
Yeah.
And I knew it was near me on my side of the river, and that they were okay and I wasn't. That's all I knew. And until I knew, and then I found out what it was, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad I got out of the water.
Well, I've had two people report to me water monsters in the Hawkesbury River, and one actually saw a big arching neck, and the other person saw a huge shape that was bigger than his boat, kind of come past him. Do you think those beings are like the hairy people in that they have abilities to become invisible and to not necessarily be seen, or are they a different kind of being?
I'd say they're different. They just know they've got good survival skills.
Just kind of like an ordinary animal as opposed to.
Well, I've got a different opinion on that one there, Sarah. How would you put it? Like, you ever heard of people saying time shift?
Yeah.
Well, they might be in a different time zone, but every now and then, because time is not a straight line. Don't believe in that because it's not a straight line. It waves and carries on and things like that. And sometimes it crosses over itself.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me.
Yes. And them creatures might be from the past, but they're still living. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And they sometimes they could get caught in that time slip. Because, the people over the world, I seen a pterodactyl. Or I seen a dinosaur. But what it is a time slip. They come from a different time And then I slipped back into that time again.
Right.
Well, I
That's
can
interesting.
say the time slip thing is true because I had an experience there. I went up the mountains, I was at the top of the mountain, and I was waiting for a taxi. And across the road was a really, really old, it was a coffee shop now. I don't know what it used to be in the old days. And I'm standing there. All of a sudden, I looked at my shoes and they were different. They were from the 1920s. And I'm like, what? And then I looked across the road and the shop had changed. And there was a car coming from my left. And as it came from the left into the view straight where this shop was, it felt like the time slip thing had something to do. It was between me and the shop. As the car came in front of me, it changed from a car from today to an old car. And then as it went past, it went back into a new car. And I'm standing there, and the people in the coffee shop, all their clothes had changed, and it was like a coffee shop, but they were eating food, and everyone had different clothes and everything. I could hear and smell. It was like I was really there. And I'm waiting for my taxi, and I'm thinking, when is this going to be over? And it went for nearly a whole minute, and I started panicking because I thought I wasn't going to change back to reality, and I was going to be stuck in this time slip in the 1920s, and I'm freaking out. And then all of a sudden it stopped, and I went to my destination. And when I got there, the nieces are going, "Aunt, you look like you've seen a ghost." And sister goes, "Nah, if it was a ghost, she'd be all right. It's something else."
Yeah, right. So that must have been quite scary, especially if
It was.
lasting for that long. I don't blame you for
Yeah,
panicking.
because I'd had it before, but it didn't last long. Right? It was easy. I call it the elastic band effect because it feels like I'm being pulled into another time, and then bang, I go back to now. And it never lasted that long, and yeah, I really thought I was going to be stuck there. That's what it felt like.
Right,
So
right.
what Uncle Donny said could possibly, I
Yeah,
verify that there is a possibility that's.
Yeah,
yeah,
And you
yeah.
know what, Uncle Donny? I
yeah,
like to think that they're actually still existing, and we haven't lost them. That's what I like to think.
yeah. Well, that's like that yarn I was telling you there the other day there, Sarah, about that T-model Ford I seen up in the cutting there.
Yeah, yes, yes. Do you want to
It
tell
could have been
that?
a
Do you
ghost
want
car, or it could have been like a time slip. I still remember it to this day because it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I was going up that mountain, up through the cutting with my old bunny, and I seen these old headlights coming down. And when it was hitting, the headlights were hitting the bank of the cutting, it was sort of flashing back onto the car, and it looked like an old T-model Ford. And it had them old carbide lights on it. And anyway, because the road was really, real narrow gutted, the old road back then. They opened it up a fair bit now, but I said, thought to myself, I'll pull over to this old fella because he's coming down in this old car. And I waited there a minute. And he went round behind this bank, cutting there. And what's going on with you? He hasn't come to me. So I got the old bunny. I looked around to see if he's been off the road or something like that, It was a pretty steep cutting, that old cutting there. I thought he might have went over the bank, but what they call guardrails. Well, guardrails consisted of a couple of posts and a big thick wire going up through there. It wasn't broken or nothing. It just disappeared. But I seen it coming down. I seen the headlights. I seen silhouette of the old car. But when I got there, was no car, no old car. And that could have been a time slip, or it could have been a ghost. See the difference between a ghost and a time slip. To some people, it might look like a ghost, but it could be a time slip.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I imagine hairy people have access to all this because their times our spirituality. They know we're all them doors.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine.
And I wonder how many of them. I wonder whether today's technology actually is interfering with those natural technologies. That's why hearing more of a presence from these other beings.
Maybe. Was there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
Glyphs.
Oh yeah, glyphs. What can you tell us about the glyphs that people find made of sticks and twigs?
Some of the glyphs I've noticed, like a lot of people go and do the mistake when they look at a glyph there and they start measuring and carrying on like that. No, you don't. You just simply care. Like I was trying to tell a lady on Facebook there one time, and she said to me she was doing this and she was going through all the bloody what's names around the world, trying to interpret this glyph and shaped like a curled F with a piece of wood coming off the side of it. So I asked her the question. I said to this lady, I said, do you have a camera? And she said, yes. And I said, when you walk up bush there, do you wear a dress? And she said, yes. And I said, you got your hair in like a ponytail? And she said, yes. And the shape of it was an F shape, and the bottom had curled down. That indicated the dress. And where the F was the arms, and there was this little stick coming off, and it curled back over the rest of the dress. They were saying there was a lady with a camera who wore a dress and had a beanie on. Yeah, not a beanie, a ponytail.
Yeah, right.
Now, if you make it simple, you can interpret it. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost sounds too simple and obvious, doesn't it? But it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, there's also like, now you was talking there earlier about the old X and the, about special places.
Yeah.
Sometimes you come across these big X's in the scrub the old hairy men have done. Now, that could be interpreted two ways. One way is that it's what they call it, a challenge for another young male. You come on my territory, we're going to get into it.
Right, okay.
Right? That's a challenge. And it also could mean that that's a spiritual spot. Don't go any further. You understand what I mean?
Yep.
Now, if you see them when they bow over a tree and like a bow. There was one there, the boys came across there where they wrapped palm leaves in it and so they get the bow right.
Yeah, they tied two slim palm trees together to form a big sort of archway. And
like a bow.
Yeah. And that's really common. People find that bow-like structure quite a lot.
Yeah, now, that bow means if there's a green tree in front of it, little green tree in front of it, that means sunrise. Again, if there's a dead limb lying on the other side of it, it's sunset.
So would that So would that be used to say
when to move and not to move?
Ah, got you.
Now, I'm still trying to interpret why they use triangle all the time, unless they see everything in that type of triangular shape. We don't know yet. But there's a few others. There's the North American First Nation people do this a fair bit too. It's when they get the tree and they shape it into like a lazy Z.
Yeah.
Z, we want to be like that.
Yep.
That's is to travel through. And I've come across that quite a few times up around here where they bent the tree so it looked like a lazy Z. That means to travel through.
And that would be a message like what in what kind of context? So to one of their
Oh, that is,
them.
it's like a safe way to go through, or
Uh-huh.
pointing to a certain direction where you have to go.
Yep.
But if people just make it simple, they'll understand the glyphs.
They're generally one hairy person talking to another hairy person with the glyphs. They're not really talking to us, are they?
No, I'm not really talking about.
Yeah.
They will leave glyphs on the ground like for you, but you need to interpret them a bit better than some people do, because they go, scientific about it. It's not. Don't need to be scientific about it. You've got to think of how would you put it? If if you told a 5-year-old child, draw me with a hat on, he would have put a stick figure there with arms out, and he put a triangle on top of the head.
Yep.
That's the simplest way of saying, well, that's a man with a hat. That's what I've been trying to explain to people. Don't make it difficult for yourself. Make it simple as possible you can.
Brother, can I tell him the story when I came down to visit you recently? We went to that place with the 500-year-old tree and we saw the...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then when you showed me, I walked up and I recognised what was going on. Can I tell them that story?
Yeah, go on, sis.
Okay, so recently I got to go and stay with Donny got out to walk on country. Now, rocks around the tree are great big giant boulders. And they were there obviously before the tree, because the way the tree grew up in the middle of them, it's a perfect sleeping place, especially if you're swimming. Anyway, these rocks literally vibrate. I went down and put my hand on them. You can feel the vibration coming off these.
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. Looking around, so virtually we got there. When me and Donny work together, I go one way, he goes the other. We go and find stuff, then we come back together and tell each other what we found, and then go in whatever direction next. So he's gone the opposite way. I've gone towards the tree. I went round. They said go around the other side, so I went for a bit of a walk, and I found these like big dig holes in the ground, and it looked like a hand way bigger than mine had just gone down and pulled a big heap of dirt out of the ground to grab something in there. And I went, okay. Didn't think much of it. Looked around, saw a couple of drill holes and thought, gee, that's funny. We never had drills. Proceeded to walk back to Donny. Now, Donny had gone the other direction, and in the other direction was a valley and two mountain peaks. And he's saying, sister, quick. And I runs up there, and sure enough, here it was on the ground, and it's pointing towards valley and these two mountain peaks. I looked at him, I went, it's going this way, Donny. Because I haven't been here before. Donny has, I haven't. This is the first time I ever. So I runs up to the area they're pointing to, realises there's a valley on your left, and directly in front of you are these two peaks. Now, I knew these two mountains were spiritual places. And I looked at Donny, and when I did, I realised that they knew we were coming. That message was for us. They wanted us to find the tree. They wanted us to find the way they walked to go to these spiritual mountains, and the way they come up the valley to get to where we were standing.
Oh, right.
And I looked at it, it was so beautiful, like best time ever. And I'm just standing there with Donny, our friend Lisa. But it was me and Donny thing there.
Yeah, the glyph was shaped like a lizard or goanna. It was more like a lizard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Made of rocks.
And I'm a goanna woman. So it was like they knew me and Donny. They knew I'd gone there to see Donny. They knew that we were going there that day. They can said, Donny, come and look at these dig holes. I said, they're a big hand, look. And it's soft dirt too, so I figured they were looking for something underground, because some of our native foods. Yeah. And And I wanted to sleep there, man. I so wanted to sleep at that place.
That message was there for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
They
really...
wanted us to know what that place was. They pointed it in the direction for us to know that that's the way it's travelled. Because we knew the tree was there. That's when you enter the place, the tree's right there. But to walk up and around, to see the mountains and the valley, and they'd been there, obviously. They'd been there just before us, as the sun was coming up, probably.
Yeah.
And I want to add too, while I was staying there, a mist come in. And Uncle Donny mentioned a mist earlier. Mists are very magical.
Yes.
And I knew I was staying out in a camper van outside on Uncle Donny's property, and I got out at the night. I was looking at the mist, and then I quickly got back in because they were checking us out. I said to Donny, hey, we've been checked out real big time here, because where we went, they knew we were there, and they'd come in with the mist, and other things also came in with the mist. And we want to tell you too that sometimes it's not always the hairy man. There are other things out there that are just as gifted as the hairy man and just as spiritual, and the other beings come to you as well. And they all work together, by the way. They know each other. So the night in the mist, it wasn't just the hairy man. There was other beings there.
Yes.
Uncle Donny's quite aware of what they were. And they were there checking me out big time. And my friend got out and she ran back in and she's like, I've known you long enough to know animal. What is it? And I went, don't worry, darling. Just checking it out. I said, just don't worry about it. And
They just come to check you out, but everything's fine.
yeah,
So I remembered you mentioned that to me when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, that there were so many more other beings out there than just the hairy people. And when I was this past weekend, when I was up camping out with the Australian Yowie research team, I had a moment. I was sitting in the dark next to a creek, and I just got a slight prickling sensation of, I feel a little bit uneasy. And then you'd mentioned that to me, that it might not necessarily be the hairy people, but it could be any number of other beings that are out there that are giving me that heebie-jeebie feeling.
Yeah, they come to see who you were.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember earlier in the conversation how I said how nature loves spiritual people going out there and shining?
Yes.
When you go camper there, what you did, you went out there, you'll be in yourself, you were shining, and they've gone, oh, look at her.
I hope I passed their approval. Well, I must have, because nothing bad happened after that. So
It was all good.
yeah,
Well, that's a good indication, though, of where you're at, like vibration and, stuff.
yeah.
That's how you can check people. If you're having experiences and they're beautiful, it's all loving and it enhances you.
You're on the right track.
And it's healing. Because often, that beauty that you bring home, you have them experiences, leaks out into the people in your home and your friends and your family, and it's a healing thing. It's high vibration.
I love that. I love that thought. Well, Uncle Donny and Aunty Luna, we should probably wrap it up now, but I just wanted to say I'm so grateful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with me and with the Yowie Central listeners. I hope you come back again one day when you've got more things to share with us.
We've got plenty more there. There's
Fantastic. Awesome. I'd love to have you back on at some stage when you're ready.
Oh, yeah. It'll probably happen again.
Thank you for listening and understanding.
My pleasure.
Well, I'm hoping that in wisdom, it actually might help out a few people there on your channel there, eh?
Yes. Yeah. I think it will. I can think of even particular people who will get a lot out of this conversation. It will mean a lot to them. And that's only a few that I know personally, but I'm sure there are many others out there who will take away lots of beautiful messages from this talk.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And that was Uncle Donny and Aunty Luna. Thank you so much, Uncle Donny and Aunty Luna, for sharing your knowledge and stories. I know you're listening, so I just wanted to send you a very special thank you. Don't forget to check out Aunty Luna's show, G'day, G'day, It's Saturday, on YouTube. And I will also post the pics of the water monster that Aunty Luna was talking about in the comments under the link that I post for this show in the Yowie Central Facebook group. Remember, if you've seen a Yowie or experienced something strange and mysterious, I would love to talk to you, and the Yowie Central listeners I know would love to hear your story. So get in touch with me via yowiecentral@gmail.com or via the Yowie Central Facebook group or via Facebook Messenger. You can also get me via Twitter and Instagram, but I don't look at those quite as often, so I might take a little bit longer to get back to you, but I will eventually see it. Well, that's all I've got for you today, my friends. Yowie Central will be back next Wednesday, so I'll catch you then. And don't forget to tune in to the Believe podcast live call-in show this Friday, October the 7th, to catch AYR's Dean Harrison and me. Catch you next week. Stay safe.
Out in the cold, out in the dark, something's lurking at the edge of the park. People be warned, people beware, there's a storm on the rise and it's covered in hair. Hear him cry, hear him howl, looking for someone to disembowel. Claws like a hook, eyes like coal, feet so big they're gonna crush your soul. They call him Sasquatch. I can't see under the darkness behind the tree. Is he a monster? Is he a man? Is he a demon under Satan's command? Hear him cry, hear him howl, looking for someone to disembowel. Claws like a hook, eyes like coal, feet so big they're gonna crush your soul. They call him Sasquatch. Yeah! You might be rich, you pretty young thing, better hide the glint of your diamond ring. Your fancy jacket won't be worth a dime when you're sucking the blood right out of your spine. Hear him cry,